Okay, well, I mean, feel free to ask questions at any point throughout the session. I guess in answer to that, more get to a certain extent without until you get to too much gameplay time, too much stuff where you get into burnout. There really at the more, sorry, words not working, the more time you get in for playing and for getting coached, right, and practicing, the more you're gonna do better, right? The faster you're going to improve. Practice makes better. So that means that you're just, yeah, it's gonna benefit you up to the certain extent of when you're playing like 8+ hours a day or 6+ hours a day type of deal, right?
Yeah.
Then that starts to change. But yeah, as much as you can get in, that'll be good. But yeah, like I said, feel free to ask questions as we go along, and I will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can just go ahead and start, and I'll be a minute or so while I'm looking for something to talk about.
Cool.
2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Touch from afar.
Stop the payload.
Hold fast! Do not let them through!
Regenerating your cellular structure.
Barrier destroyed!
All right. So, two general concepts we'll talk about. So, firstly, shield usage. So let's just discuss shield usage real quick. We've only seen about 5 seconds of it, but usually, especially since we're working with just a lower SR and the fact that typically this is something that will probably repeat, I would imagine. So we'll just go like on the full in depth just to begin with, and then you'll probably see it pop up and I'll mention it. But in general, shield usage, how should you be using your shield? Essentially, you want to use your shield when shield is really needed. Shield is needed when you or your teammates are in danger or low HP, right? Danger level, right? Danger level essentially is different from being low. Being in danger means like I can be 1 HP and sitting, like over here and be perfectly safe, and I can be full HP right next to like a Diva Bomb or in the middle of their team and be very much in danger. Now, health does typically have a effect on danger level, right? Like Torbjorn's probably in a decent bit of danger because he's low and has a Reaper right next to him, right? But it's not always indicative of danger. So that's a time where you can shield, right? Torbjorn's low, you shield for Torbjorn, right? You're
Mm.
low, you shield for yourself. You're in danger, you shield for yourself. Now, additionally, you can also shield to block abilities and ultimates. You can shield when you are pushing aggressively, when you're backing out, and then in general as well, just like other times, like would be like if you have a ton of spam damage coming in, they just grabbed you. You want to block all the damage, and therefore you shield. Now, the main thing that a lot of people get wrong is that they think they have to block all damage, right? And that include so really on Reinhardt, you don't want to be shielding random spam damage, right? Which is just, for example, Soldier is just you're starting out at the very beginning here, coming out they're coming out of spawn, right? And you're just shielding Soldier shooting at your shield, right? Or Reinhardt's fire strike, or anybody else shooting. It's nothing that is enough to kill anybody on your team or be a danger to anybody to where you would want to waste your whole shield, and then for when you actually need it, right? Because there's going to be tons of times during the fight where any of those various things that I just mentioned will come up, right? So good shield management usually is going to be knowing when to not shield, whereas too many players don't know when that is. Here we
Yeah.
just hold it up too much at the beginning, and then it's already half gone by the time the fight isn't even started yet. Does that make sense?
Yep. So when I need it, it's
Mhm.
not there.
Yes, it's not needed there. And then rather than hard shielding, we can just kind of play on this corner. We can throw in fire strikes. We can if we can just monitor our team and their team, and like, okay, if we see something that's dangerous, then we can shield, right? Like if we see our teammates are in danger, right, then we can shield. But we're really just waiting until they get to us, and then we can engage once they get to us. Now, additionally, we also have another thing here which we can discuss is that we kind of back up and give them space. So notice how far back we are. Now there's two issues with this. Firstly, we give up the corner, which the corner acts as cover for us. While they're over here, we can kind of do this, and now they can't see us. And in general, we're not getting super in depth on this yet, but good positioning is the usage of cover bad positioning is the absence of cover. And right now our whole team is in an absence of cover, right? So our whole team is in not too great of positioning. Whereas if
Yeah.
we're all holding on the corner, then that provides a lot more cover to work with for us and our whole team. Now, additionally, this also gets into what you call a choke point. So this is maybe a term that you might be familiar with since it's typically
Yep.
used. Yeah, so you're familiar with it. In general, it's just a funnel, right? It's a tiny little area where they all have to come through. This right here, you would consider a choke, right? So you between these two big old rocks, that this is what you would consider a choke, especially when the cart is there, because it pushes them all into this tight little area. Then once they get past that, then they can spread out and do whatever, right? So
So
good.
I
Mhm.
like I mean I would have liked to have held that corner, I
Mhm.
guess, but I felt like they were all coming around the corner and I was kind of out in space.
So you
And
felt like your team was too far behind you.
so I didn't feel, yeah. I think it was like I'm here all by myself. The only other person I see maybe is Hog, a little bit on the left.
Mhm.
Maybe that there's that Torb there as well, and I should have just held it, or how, like,
Yes.
maybe how do you
So
know when to hold it or not?
So in this situation, right? Note that your team this gets into team compositions of your team doesn't want to be holding close range anyways. And that's maybe if you'd like to, we can get into that conversation because you were saying at the very beginning you'd like to know when should you swap to which character, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
here Reinhardt is kind of like so your soldiers not going to be wanting to be close. Torbjorn's
Right.
gonna be like
Got it.
kind of meh on big. Torbjorn can be close. Roadhog, he's not gonna really want to be close. He's gonna be a medium distance. So especially soldiers can be fine. But here, I would say that it no in general as a general principle that you as Reinhardt have the most say over where your team positions on the whole team, right? Typically in a game, you're not gonna have the Ana right on your team, where your whole team's gonna follow Ana around and go wherever Ana goes, right?
Right.
That's
Right.
not usually how it works. But as the main tank, in a lot of cases, your team does follow you around. Now we can watch this, right, and see how we're positioned. So we're positioned up on the corner. And then watch how we actually back up with our team. We're not really too far ahead of them that whole time.
Yeah.
It's not like we were all the way up here and they're all the way back there. But if you kind of watch that back, we're kind of backing up with them. So if we stayed up on that corner, then they probably would feel a lot more comfortable staying up on that corner with you. So kind of lead by example in that sense.
Yep.
Now, if you just had literally nobody, right, which I wouldn't say is the case there. They were still all well within range of the corner, right? They were all still able to participate. If they were all on high ground or all the way back here, right, then that's different. That's where it's truly like a 1v6. And in that case, then you probably wouldn't want to be there. You probably wanted to back up with them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay.
it's kind of identifying like, okay, how close are they? How far back do we expect them to go? They didn't go that far back, and we kind of went back along with them. Like it was kind of our whole team pushed back at the same time. So
Yeah.
I would probably hold up in the corner. That way you can actually utilize the choke point because otherwise we kind of just let them walk through it for free, and then
Right.
we don't get any of the value. Um, did you
Okay.
want to go over team comps real quick? Is that something you'd like to discuss?
Well, yeah. I mean, so if I look
Mhm.
at Schulzer and Torb, like probably more spammy, right?
Mhm.
From distance, I would think. And so looking at it now, maybe like Arissa, right, would have been a better pick to fit
Mm.
with those two.
Yeah.
I guess
Mhm.
that's the way I would think about it.
Yeah, so right
Just
now we're not super terribly out of like all over the place with our comp because on our team we do have Anna who is brawly, Moira who's a brawl, Reiner who's a brawl, and then Torbjorn who can do a brawl, right? He's decent in it.
Mhm.
So we're not super far off, right, with our composition. But you are correct that maybe Orisa might have worked better here because it might fit a little bit more with your comp. Um, make it slightly more coherent, but we're really not on too bad of a character in this situation. Reinhardt's not the most terrible here. But yeah, if you do want to go into compositions, we can discuss like how compositions like to operate and um different things of that nature, how they interact with each other.
Cool. Well, why don't we hold that? Like, and I think what happened, think I end up swapping off the ball here in a second, and so let's see how this plays out, I guess.
Okay, nice kill. Pay attention to Reinhardt because we probably could have very easily turned around and so you see a Reinhardt pins in here, right, to your team.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Probably very easy to turn around and just go and fight him if he's like, look at kind of the separation between him and his team.
Mm.
We could possibly have turned and tried to pin after him, right? We can come in here and pin, and then that would probably get a lot of damage in, right? But we kind of don't pay attention to him too much, and then we let him kind of escape for free there.
I can't hold forever.
Okay.
Yep.
Might definitely go into.
Get into position.
All right, so I think right off the bat, like again, I'm gonna hop straight into the depths of this. We're going to go into aggression scaling, right? Just guys, this is probably one of the biggest things that most Reinhardt players and tanks could probably learn is aggression scaling because it's something that usually they're very off with. So aggression scaling, right, is essentially the idea, the concept of putting your aggression onto a scale so that you can understand it better. Now, 0% on the scale is passive, super passive. 100% is super aggressive, and 50% is your neutral, right? It's just kind of where you start off at. So typically at the start of each fight, you're typically going to be at a 50%, right, with your aggression. Now, you adjust upwards on this scale as you get advantages and as you get opportunities, and you adjust downwards with disadvantages and with a lack of resources, right? Now, so let's go more into that. So advantages versus disadvantages. Very easy concept is just advantages would be, for example, you're up people, right? You got kills. So if you are up like one person, you might go from 50 to 60. You're up two people, might go up to 70. Three people, maybe an 80, right? Something like that. 4, 5, 6, right? 90, 100, right? Same thing going down the scale, right? If you're down a person, that's down to 40. Two people, 30, right, etc. Now, there's other things that go into that, but we'll keep that as the basics, right? But note that there are a lot of other things that act as advantages and disadvantages. I guess I will just briefly mention them. That would be things like health, like our teammates' health bars. How many abilities do we have, and the enemy team, right? How many abilities and ultimates does each team have? Who has closer spawns? Who has better positioning? Who just in general, all those various things. I wouldn't spend too much worrying about that because it's more advanced, right? Now, there's also opportunities. So opportunities could be something like you see somebody who's 1 HP, or you see somebody who's out of position, right? Those would be opportunities. You can get a little bit more aggressive to try to capitalize on them and kill the person. Now, lack of resources. Your resources as Reinhardt is going to be your health, your shield, your abilities, right? And those are your resources. If you are lacking those resources, you have to play less aggressive because you can't, like, if you're 1 HP, how can you go in and run at them, right? It's not going to work out too well for you. You're going to die very easily. So that's partially why you don't want to be wasting so much of your shield at the before the fight even begins, because then that means that when the fight starts, you're forced to play at like a 40, 35% aggression when you want to be getting more aggressive, right? So let's rewatch this a little bit, right? And the thing I want to focus in right now is the lack of resources, right? That's the main thing. We're not like right now, right? We can look at this fight and just kind of pay attention to what's going on, right? It's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 versus a 6, or 5.5 with Baby Diva, right? So we're not that far behind. That's not a massive thing, right? But let's just look at kind of what we're up to, right? The biggest thing. So right now we'd maybe be at like a 40, 45, right? I'd say like 40, right? Then we notice, shield health is at 300, right? If we push forwards and we don't have shield, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
No,
Get melted.
yeah, get melted. Not very good. Also noting our health bar. We're not max health, we don't have the armor as well, which is going to give us some damage reduction. So we're also down on our health bar. And those are, I probably say, the big ones. Then we push out here, we just don't have any shield. So therefore, because we don't have shield and because we're not max health, that paired with the fact that we're down soldier and our team's also backing up, so it's something else to pay attention to. They look like they're in the process of backing, not pushing. That probably all means that our aggression should be. What would you say our aggression should probably be right now?
30.
30. I'd probably go lower. I'd probably say more
Yeah.
like a 15. This is the situation where we just back up, get around this corner, right? Heal up from our teammates, heal up from our shield, like our shield. Then we can re-engage when we have resources, right? So I would probably like be hard backing, at least for the moment, right? Now, some additional
Yep.
things to note is that aggression scaling is not a hard lock. You're not going to go down to 15 and then lock there for the next 10 seconds. That's not how it usually works. It's very fluctuant. At one moment, right, you might be at you might be at 50%, and then you see, oh, stat, that person's Reaper's 1 HP, right? Then you go up to 100% to kill the Reaper, but then I don't know, you get pulse bombed and now you're 1 HP. So you go from 50% to 100% to 0%, all within the course of a second, right? So this is very fluctuant. It's going to be going all over the place, right? Now that can seem overwhelming, and that really is, you're just going to get used to it, right? It is going to be slightly overwhelming to begin with, but if you like kind of work on it, all this is going to come within the snap of a finger, where you're going to be able to just glance at the fight and go, okay, I should be doing this, right? And that just comes with practice. We will talk more on application, probably a little bit later on in the session. But just for the moment, note that. I forget if there's one other thing, but yeah, there might be another thing that I'm forgetting to mention on that, but we can continue. That all makes sense, yeah.
Yep.
All right.
100%. And if I look at it right now, it looks ridiculous. Like I'm going like 1 into 6. There's no one behind me.
Yep. And then that also additionally with noting on that end, before you get aggressive, typically you want to check your surroundings, right? You can
Yeah.
just real quick, like you're about to go in, you just look behind. Okay, I have my team. Let me go. Okay, don't have my team. Probably want to wait on them, right? And then
Right.
you can go.
I broke line of sight right there. So even if Anna was there, she couldn't heal me. So
Yep.
I feel sad in the morning.
Okay. Well, let's see what we do. All right.
Yeah.
So this gets go ahead.
Yeah. I just felt like someone had to try to contest, and it was gonna. I mean, I know we're kind of staggering here, but
Yeah. So this gets into how do you tell whether or not a fight is won or lost. This is very closely linked to what we just talked about in aggression scaling, but this mainly comes down to watching kill feed. And this kind of, like I said, get links to it. When you are up or down 1 to 2 people, that is a disadvantage, right? So I guess I don't need to elaborate there. You get more aggressive when you're up people, more passive when you're down people, right? We just said that. When you are up or down 2 to 3 people, that is a won or a lost fight. When you've won the fight, you get extra aggressive, you push them. When you've lost the fight, you try to get out if you can. If you cannot, you let them kill you, and that's your 0%, right? You also don't use ultimates in won or lost fights, and then just also make sure you're not walking into already lost fights. So here it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 versus a 1, 2. This is a very, very heavily lost fight. So really here, when
there's
we
no reason to walk into it.
yeah, we walk in and then I would imagine we're gonna get shredded within like
Yeah.
4 seconds. As you mentioned, like here we could just have charged straight back to our team, been perfectly fine. But now this is gonna end up doing what you just mentioned, staggering us. And then obviously you know the term, but just to emphasize the staggering part is that staggering, right? When you die, it's dying late. Really is what staggering is, and then that gives your team 2 options. Either they can wait for you, in which case they've just wasted a bunch of time, or they can walk in without you, where now they're at a disadvantage, or they can also even start a stagger train where you stagger, and then
Yeah.
Anna walks in and she staggers, and then Moira walks in and she staggers, and then Roadhog goes in and he staggers, right? And it just goes over and over and over, and then wastes even more time, right?
Rolling out.
I'm under attack.
All right. So right now, just looks a little bit unfocused, like we're not sure what to do. So in general, I wouldn't put as much of a. Now, that's not to say you can never do this, but we do spend a little bit of time shooting, and then like we kind of demech to shoot 7 shots. You're probably gonna find a lot more value out of looking to use your abilities consistently and comboing your abilities. So typically, in general, here we come in and we don't go for slam. In a lot of cases, slam's gonna want to be something you're just using as often as possible, with exceptions such as if they have a ton of stuns for you, right? But here they don't have any stuns, right? So that means that we can be rolling off of the high ground right above them from any angle and slamming on top of their heads. This gets a ton of group-wide, what you would call cleave damage, right? Hitting everybody all at once. We also want to just be looking to roll around on top of people. Here we come in, we kind of roll around a little bit, not really doing a ton, and then we shoot the wall, unfortunately, and then we slam when right against nobody, right? So, though I do like that the fact that you understand that you can slam off of cart. That's a good thing that you understand you can do. But it's just on nobody as well.
Yeah, I was thinking. Well, I'm going for the mercy, obviously. Or I was.
Note that once you demech Diva, you're not gonna be able to destroy her, kill her anymore. She's demeching right now. She's invincible in this state. You're not. So right now, this is where really good time to like be reloading, but we keep unloading on her already dead body, right?
Oh, I didn't realize that. So when she's in that process of demeching, she's already demeched.
Yes, exactly. Yep, she
Got
gets
it.
demeched,
Okay.
and then it's an animation where she's in the process of leaving, and then that means that just there's no point in shooting.
Got it. Got it. Okay. I think I've unloaded a lot of bullets on a demeching.
Yep, the more you know. Same kind of concept of Reaper Wraithing, right? So just make sure that like if he's in the middle of Wraith, might want to just stop shooting, and then that way we have ammo for when he's done in being in Wraith, or we could reload as well.
Got it.
Top speed.
Okay. Not going to accomplish a whole lot just by peppering him like this. Look how much, like in the total of like us shooting at him, like let's see how much health we take off by the time we're done just shooting at him normally. Like just see how much value we get. Okay, that's not right to like 20 HP, right? That's not fully just because like we're not aiming correctly. It's just because that's not how you get value on ball typically. You as ball, right? We're 3 minutes there. In general, you're not gonna want to just sit there and shoot because his gun's not great for that. Typically, your gun is a finisher. That's what you kind of use it as. You use it in combination with your abilities, right? So ball, especially at ranges, you're not gonna be getting a lot of value because the further away you go, the more a couple things. One, the more fall off damage you do. So we're right here. We do that, we melt them pretty fast, right? Now we come back here. Now we're going to be doing less damage, right? Even back here, we're doing less damage because we do less damage the further away we get. So notice how that took a little bit longer, took a little bit more shots, right? Come back here. Look how little damage that is, right? It takes we can't even kill him with a whole clip, right? So therefore we get that's fall off damage. Additionally, you have spread, so your bolts are all spread out, which means that if we're far away, not all our shots might be hitting. And then also tinier targets are harder to hit, so he's far away, harder to hit the target. So all things which mean that you probably want to be closer. In general, your typical combo on ball is a slam engage, right? So if you don't already have a high ground to slam off of, you can grapple in like such. You can just grapple to something, swing up in the air, slam on something. You can shield when you slam, right? Like as you're slamming, and then you D-ball and shoot them as they're coming down, right? So I'll just demonstrate that again. That's your basic combo on ball, right? Is you just swing in, right? You can hover in the air for a little bit, slam, shoot them as they're coming down. Now we're closer, we're able to do things, we used our abilities, we did a bunch of stuff, and then we can disengage. Not always going to guarantee a kill. It's going to do a lot more though than just kind of sitting from back here and just going like this is kind of what our gameplay looks like, right? Where we're just going
Yeah. Here. Well. So
Scanning
I guess
target.
that all makes sense for sure.
Mhm.
But sometimes I'm thinking about like trying to distract them
Mm.
from behind, and it's not necessarily to get a kill.
Yes. So
And
that's
and, and it,
Mhm.
sorry, and it would be usually I'm thinking about that more on the healer side, but I guess it could be any squishy.
Yeah, that's a really good point. So my counterpoint, which is more distracting, getting peppered for 20 HP or killing somebody or being on top of them, rolling through them, slamming them?
Yeah, for sure. I
Yeah.
guess there's a lot of them. There were a lot of them there, right? But maybe rolling into them and taking the CC and stuns and everything else. Ball's got whatever 600 plus HP and it would have been fine.
Yeah, they also I don't think they have a single stun on their team. Additionally, as another thing to note, so that no stuns, and then even if we're in the middle of their whole team, that's only with 2 people, and we just got 850 HP, right? 850 we can get even higher than that. I think we can get over 1,000 health
Yeah,
points,
yeah,
right? Just if we're in a big group of people. Also, we have such fast mobility, right? We can do this, right? We come up to a high ground, we slam off the high ground, we shoot, we go pew 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 out that fast, right?
hmm, yeah,
So it's really not. And now do be careful. Same rules of engagement apply as with what we were talking about with Reinhardt, right? If you don't have health, don't do it. If you don't have abilities, don't do it. If you right, because that's not going to work out too great for you. If you don't have your team, or I guess sorry, if you don't have if your team's not alive, right, then
right,
maybe you
right.
don't want to do it. So yep, that's just things to
Okay,
note.
cool.
Traveling to Route Ready for battle.
All right, so we're right here. Almost got charged there. I think we pinned him. Oh, we booped him off the map. That's funny. Okay. All right. So we swing in here. We get a lot of HP. We drop on top of them, kind of maybe a little bit early. There's no reason to be. It's possible? No, I don't know your current thoughts right now.
Yeah,
It's possible you think you might be needing to contest point. Is that something that's maybe on the radar?
no,
No.
no. It's again more just about like trying to get in there and initiate some action.
Yeah. So here, right, if we wait an extra half second, then we have our slam, right? If we wait 2 more seconds, one more second, then we have our
Mm.
slam available, and then we can just slam on top of them. But instead, we just kind of roll on top of their heads, right? And then we're rolling. We probably could have slammed off a cart additionally there as well, right? Then we're
Yeah.
rolling. Might recommend grappling higher up so that you can swing with an upwards angle, right? If you're grappling down this low, then you're only gonna be able to go straight, really, right? Because that's really all the angle allows for. But if you grappled onto that second floor, well, then
Hmm.
you can swing and go up, and then that allows the slam, right, and more visibility over the fight, and then that maybe allows you to kill those guys a little bit easier. Okay, we're kind of doing a little bit long of a wraparound, but maybe we could have just come up here and slammed from high ground to get you there sooner. Though it's also possible that yeah, because we're going in anyways here.
Payload has reached the checkpoint.
Okay. Right now, no reason to be doing currently, right? We have our ultimate. Poking is not accomplishing anything. We can see through walls and see our team is nowhere near the fight, right? The fight's not happening. So us being a distraction isn't accomplishing anything. I'd probably say
Mm.
right now you just want to roll and grab a health pack, right? Get full HP so that when the fight begins, you're able to go in and be full HP rather than just kind of poking and feeding them ult charge is really all that's doing.
Right. right? Because he's getting healed anyway.
Yeah, and then also just opening up for potential damage to be taken. For some reason, the Reinhardt's charging at you. I don't know why he's doing that. Oh, here we just hold on a little bit long, so just let go sooner, right? Is really all that is.
Yeah, I think he get that a little bit sooner.
That was not too shabby of not very nice. Though we do disengage, right? So here we mine and then we keep rolling, right? So we mine, but we're pretty high on the HP, right? We have 600. We just mined. We probably want to stay in here to clean up. We could like I don't know, roll up here, slam, roll up cart, slam, right? Get some extra damage in, but we kind of disengage. We kind of just roll back to our team. And then we finally turn around to shoot at them. Then we're also really far away now. We're not in range to use abilities. Mercy, probably if you're a little bit closer, we could have finished off. I mean, sorry, she gets killed anyways, but
She falls into a mine. Yeah.
yep.
Behind you.
Performance classification on fire.
Healing in hand. I'm restoring you. Allow me to repair the damage.
Engaging.
Help me.
Okay, good health pack awareness. Definitely say you should be looking for slams more often than you are currently.
More slams than shooting.
Yeah, more slams, right? Get those in there as often as possible. Again, with the exception if you're if you're low or if they have a ton of stuns. Right now they have one single stun, right? One single stun, and that's McCree, which lasts second, right?
Yeah.
So probably go for a lot more slams, get a lot more damage in that way. Grapple up higher there again.
Tactical visor.
Not necessarily like we're currently not in dire need of our shields, right? So once again we're not low, not in danger. Shields maybe not needed, and then no, just in case the fact that you weren't aware, you do get more shields the more enemies that you're around, right? So you probably want to save it for when you're engaging and getting on top of them, right?
Yeah.
Versus there when you only get like 30 or 50 or something. Slamming off a cart. Once you get on top of cart, if you need the extra jump height, which I don't even know if you do, because if you roll off, okay, I guess you do need some extra jump height because it doesn't pop up there.
Oh,
Then you
yeah.
just jump, right? All you have to do is just jump up in there, and then you should be good, and then you can slam. All right, so we do slam there. That's good. Okay, you can slam off of almost any ledge, right, that exists, right? It's all over the place, right? So, for example, you can just
there.
roll and
Yeah.
slam off of this. You can roll and slam off of a high ground. You can jump off and slam off of a stairway, right? You can slam off of cart. You can slam off of these little thingy-mabobs. You can slam off of those little thingy-mabobs, right? It's just all over the heckin' place, right? You can slam off the dumpster, slam off of the stairway, I don't know, jump on this thing, slam off of it, right? Slam off of this high ground, this, right? It's all, like I said, it's all over the place. Look to use it, right? Because that's just that's not only going to do damage, it's going to stun CC them close to you so they can't run away, and lift them up in the air, which makes them easier to kill as you track them down, right? When somebody gets booped up in the air, they're easier to headshot and kill because they have to fall back down, so it's easy to track them. They lose control over their mobility. Once again, we can probably slam here as we're going in. You can firstly jump right as I let go and jump off of the ground, so you get extra height. So that's the way you can actually do it, because I don't think it doesn't show up as an option if we don't jump there. So just know that if we jump right before we get off that ledge, we can do it. I have no clue what just happened to us there. think we were swinging and then got booped with the swing. Whoa. Don't know if that was intentional or not.
No, it
No,
was just
how
like,
do
I'm in the air. Let's slam.
yeah.
I think we did like a little wall slime there.
Nice.
Yeah.
Step right up. Get your head down.
All systems checked out.
Don't move. Landing. Powering shields.
Yeah, we're doing a lot more on this third point than we were like early second point, or even all second point, right? Because we're actively going in and doing things consistently with our abilities, which is getting us a lot more value. We're closer to them. We're just being more of a disruptor overall.
Yeah, this third point felt a lot better.
Time to raise my ATM. Your compass got
Fire at will.
Landing. Powering shields.
Sometimes noting that when we're slamming, we're not necessarily deballing to go and shoot at something, right? So like here we slam, and then we could maybe be shooting at Mercier or the whatchamacallit, the Baby Diva, right? But we kind of roll away, and that's not. I'm gonna keep my eye out to see if that's repetitive, but just noting that you probably want to be comboing those usually of slam shooting, right? Slam shooting. That's you're right. We do it there.
Repairing.
Do we? I don't think we actually grabbed that. Look at our health bar.
Did I miss it?
Yeah,
Yeah, I did.
you just
I did.
barely missed it.
Oh, it's a
Uh-oh.
Because they probably think I have it now.
60 seconds.
Tactical visor activated.
Very nice.
Proximity clear.
Привет.
Alright, I mean, things are going well.
Speed. Scanning targets. Navigating.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of like when there's like lots of little areas to run around and hide in and get behind the other team and such.
Clear.
30 seconds remaining.
Impact.
Oh, I thought you destroyed the tire as well. I guess you did not. You just got the Lucio.
Dein Schutzengel ist da.
This will
That would have been
connect
nice.
in
Tire
reverse.
slam.
Landing.
Surrender to my will.
Area
Okay.
denied.
Perfect angle for our mines that we don't use, so we could use it like right around. We went a little bit high with it,
Right?
but
Yeah.
we probably could have let go sooner on this grapple, right? Because look at this, look at like this angle, like right here, right? Where if like we let go, we can kind of slowly float and slam, right? We go a little bit high, and then we slam immediately. Note that you can float a little bit before you're slamming, right? You don't have to slam immediately, but we could probably wait slightly till we get a little bit lower, mines and then slam. But then notice we slam. We also could still be mining here while we're like right above their whole team, and we kind of wait until we're right here. Which now, okay, well, this isn't really central to their team. We're really only getting monkey with this kind of, right. It's a lot less. It's not going to hit as many of them unless they walk into it, right? So just the placement of that.
Yeah, I think that was intentional, at least on my part, because I was like, well, the cart's going this way, or coming towards the point, and so having if I put the mines too far back, then the cart just goes through it, and they, go around them. So, but maybe is what you're saying is, hey, it's great to mine the cart, but actually all the heroes the characters were back on the other side, and you should have put the
Yes,
mines back there.
mining cart is not a bad idea whatsoever, but it depends on the situation. So no, there I would say it was like on the front end of cart is kind of what we did, or the side of cart,
Mhm.
rather than where if we did it right on behind, like right behind cart. Then we're putting it behind 3 people, also behind, or we're putting on top of 3 people, behind Monkey. So if Monkey turns around because he's low HP, he still runs into mines. Cart's not going to run them over if, whereas if the mines are in front, Cart will run it over, right? It's probably not going to run it over as fast if it's behind it. In general, mines want to be placed slightly behind them, because what's going to happen when they hear an ultimate and they're trying to get away? Are they going to run into your team?
Right. They're
You know,
gonna
they're
run.
probably going to want to run away,
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, which so typically slightly behind them is where you want to place it.
10 seconds remaining.
Alright, why don't we, before we get into any more, just real quick, let's discuss just application, right? Because I want to get into that before we, before the end, right? So application, how do you look to work on this stuff? So let's take, for example, maybe one of the things that we've seen come up a couple times is the aggression scaling, right? So if you might be thinking to yourself, okay, well that's all fine and dandy, but aggression scaling seems very complex and it's maybe slightly vague, right? Like, how do I really look to work on aggression scaling? So you work on your aggression scaling in the exact same way that you work on really anything else that you're trying to work on in or out of game, and that is that while you are playing, you're going to actively focus. No, excuse me. You're going to actively focus in on the thing you're trying to work on. So your aggression scaling in this instance. So what that looks like is you're not going to just play to play or autopilot or contrary to popular belief. Probably not going to want to just purely play to win, as that leads to stagnation. Whereas when you play to improve, then you actually start winning more. So what that looks like within your gameplay is that you're going to be constantly saying to yourself, you're going to be going awareness, aggression scaling, aggression, right? Giving yourself that constant reminder to pay attention to what the heck is going on around you and adjusting your aggression accordingly, right? And when you do that, that's really what aggression scaling is, right? It's paying attention to what's happening, and if you're paying attention, your aggression scaling is going to be better, right? So therefore, right, it will form itself. When you do that enough, it'll form itself as a habit. Once it forms as a habit, then you don't need to work on it as much. It'll come naturally, and then you can move on to something else to work on. Now, I will note, this will get very overwhelming if you try to apply everything all at once, so don't try to do that. Do one category of 3 things, or 1 to 3 smaller things within a category. All right, any questions on that?
Nope. I think that makes sense.
All right, so then we can keep going.
1.
So maybe just a question, like, so here, like, I was like, oh, all right, I think we're doing pretty good with me on ball, but then the team was like, we need a shield, we need a shield. So, you know, I went back to Ryan, and like, I don't know, is there a, how do you make that decision?
Okay. Was the decision? So are you asking in this situation because you don't think that Reinhardt would be good in this situation, or because you just felt like you were on a roll with ball?
Uh, so I felt like the first point when I was on Ryan, we kind of got rolled. And then I felt like second point we kind of started to slow them down, and then third point is, I felt better about
Mm-hmm.
just how we at least slowed the progress of the cart.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not sure that it's all because I was on ball. I'm sure there's other, it's the map and
Mm-hmm.
everything else, but um
So then my question would be: is that because Reinhardt is bad in that instance on this map and this composition, or is it because we just misplayed or misperform out? We didn't perform well on Reinhardt, and then we did perform well on ball, right? So that would be
yeah,
my thing that I'm wondering, right?
right,
In my
right.
head in the situation. Now that if you feel as though you are just flat up playing bad on Reinhardt and you feel I'm playing good on ball, and that's perfectly reasonable to keep wanting to play ball. You can just say, yeah, I wasn't feeling Reinhardt, sorry guys, right?
Hmm,
Um
hmm.
but if you're going purely off of, okay, I don't think that Reinhardt's good here, well then I would probably say that is like not correct based off of like the team comp that we're on and that we're up against and the map that we're on. Reinhardt's, especially like, I mean, if you're getting a third point, right, this map in general is pretty decent for Reinhardt. Right, not the best, but it's decent, especially like I said, third point. And then the comp that we're on is going to be decent for Reinhardt. So in general, right now we're on a. We can maybe go into comps. Why don't we go into comps? That'd be cool.
Sure.
I'm gonna send you a chart real quick. So this is on Discord. You have your three main compositions. Have you heard of dive, brawl, and spam?
Yes.
Yes. Are you you're aware of what characters make up each comp? Yeah.
Generally, yeah.
Generally, okay. So, in general, these are how these compositions operate. And in general, right? Sorry. Before we get into that, if you have 4 or more characters that apply to any of these comps, you are that comp, right? So if you have 4, for example, brawl characters, then you are a brawl comp. If you have 3 brawl characters and 3 spam characters, well, now you're kind of on a brawly spam, right? It's not as it's a little bit more of a hybrid composition. Hybrid is really going to be when you're kind of not running anything in particular. It's usually it's not always a negative. It's not always inherently negative. It is a negative connotation usually in ranked, because in ranked you're not running an actual comp. In a lot of cases, hybrid is just kind of your death match. Everybody's doing whatever, right? You play very split up. You all do your own thing. But it can also be a actual compositions if you're running it in team play or in very high levels. Now, get into them a little bit, right? Dive, right? It's usually very standard. I don't even need to dwell too long on it, but you start off far away, you dive in close, right? You start pretty slow, and then you get faster and faster and faster as the fight goes on. As you get more abilities, or sorry, not abilities, more ultimates and kills and advantages and opportunities, which is like how all of them play, right? Brawl and spam, though, is where it gets very important to understand and to be able to apply. Spam compositions, they are far distanced characters. They are going to be your like Orisa, Sigma, Soldier, right, Junkrat, that type of deal, right? When you're on a spammy or far range characters, you want the fight pacing to be slow, because that gives you the much more time to shoot at them and spam them from a distance where they can't do anything. Brawl, on the other hand, is the complete opposite. Brawl is a close range comp, and then therefore they need to play fast. If they do not play fast and get close as fast as possible, then they just take a bunch of damage and they can't dish it back, right? They can't do anything. So, therefore, Brawl needs to get on top of them fast. Brawl and spam are complete opposites. Typically, it's not great if you have like a half brawl, half spam. That's probably like some of the worst, one of the worst comps you can have, because it's pulling each other in opposite directions. And then additionally, really, it's just if you're running a brawl against a spam, it's just if brawl gets you, you lose. If spam dances away, spam wins. Right. So back to the current game that we're in. Go ahead.
And is it true, like, dive is usually stronger against spam, spam usually stronger against brawl, brawl
Generally
usually better
speaking,
against dive?
generally speaking, I would call it a a soft rock paper scissors. So it's not a super hard thing, right, where you have a massive advantage. Let's say it's a soft advantage, right? So, like you just said, yeah, dive slightly better against spam, brawl slightly better against dive, spam slightly better against brawl, right?
Got
Um,
it.
and then you can mix it up. There's like other things like spam usually is also it can have a sorry, I'm looking for the word. There's a variant of spam that's counter dive, and counter dive is a lot better against the dive. And then there's variants of all these different comps that just
Sure.
make them more able to deal with with it. Right? Like you can get some spammy dives that deal with brawls better, that sort of thing, right? So it's not a hard thing, but yes, it is a soft advantage.
Hey,
So
maybe
yeah,
stepping
good.
back to the aggression scaling,
hmm
like how would I think about the aggression scaling from the ball perspective?
Yeah, from Ball's perspective, it's just the same stuff. Except you don't have shield in that case, right? You also don't need to have your team with you on top of you. They just need to be in the vicinity and fighting and engaging. If you're going in when your team is dead, or if then that's bad. If you're going in if you're whole team is like on the other side of the map, or let's just say the whole enemy team is not distracted and they're all looking at you, then you're probably going to get melted, right? You're not going to accomplish a ton. Why are you even in there to distract if you're not distracting for your teammates, right, who aren't participating? So there's some different things to pay attention to than on Reinhardt. But in general, the same concepts apply. Of yes, you can get a little bit more aggressive, and you up your aggression with those opportunities, with those advantages. You go down with disadvantages, and then you go down with those lack of resources, such as health, such as abilities. Does that make sense? So it's slightly different, but it's still the same concepts.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. So team comps, right? So here, what team comp would we be on?
Brawl.
Brawl. Yeah, it's pretty easy, right? Noting that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say with Ryan, Zarya, Moira, Anna, Kree, like I would think that's pretty brawly.
Yep. Yes,
Yeah.
that you got a spot pitch perfect. I don't know, that's not the word I'm looking for. You got it really good. Just noting as well that certain characters can be good in multiple comps or bad in different comps. Right? McCree, he is good. He is pretty flexible. He is good in brawl. He's also good in spam. He's and he's okay in a dive. Right. So McCree, but you would count him with brawl here. So he'd be just a +1 towards brawl. Their team comp. What are they on?
So maybe more brawlish with Ryan, May, Lucio, and then I'm not sure where Mercy falls. Sigma spam, and then I guess I think if Junk, I could maybe that's spam, maybe that's brawl.
Yeah, so you mostly were on point there. I would say that they're mostly brawly with some spam elements, maybe like a little bit too spammy for the comp to be like, like I said, you probably don't want brawl and spam to be mixed a ton, but it's decently brawly, right? May's brawl, Lucio's brawl, Ryan's brawl. Mercy is going to be bad in brawl because she typically doesn't have very many good pocket targets, as well as the fact that she does not do very much healing. Burst healing. Then she's good in spam comps and dive comps. Then Junkrat, like you said, is a brawl / spam character, and then Sigma is a spam character who works okay. He works okay in brawl, right? So overall, and a little bit spammier than we are, right? But yeah, there we go with comps. So Reinhardt is perfectly fine in this situation. The long way to say Reinhardt is perfectly fine here, as long as you weren't thinking that you were just playing bad on him.
Get behind me. I'm escorting the payload.
Make sure
I mean, that could be too. Yeah.
Say that again.
I said that could be as well, right? I mean, just like the first point from the last game just felt kind of bad.
Yeah. Notice how we kind of we're a little bit high here. Make sure we're keeping just across your level with them. Fire Strike's not incredibly difficult. You don't have to hit headshots with it. Just make sure you're level with them, because look here how we're kind of looking so high up in the air. It just kind of goes off into nothing. So keep it level with them. Notice how we're hard holding shield. Just use cart as cover. No need to be wasting our whole shield there as we're approaching. Right, because now that's just wasting the resource when there's nobody behind us, right?
Yeah.
And we have cover, so it's not like we're doing it very much. Just to check, are you aware of the fact that you can look behind you while holding shield?
I am. I rarely do it in game.
Yeah.
I mean, you can hold the right mouse and turn around.
I as well don't use it a ton, but I would recommend looking to try to get used to trying that out, right? Just so you can pay attention like what's going on around you. But it's also awareness of audio awareness and visual awareness. But then the fight's not even started yet, and we don't have any shield, right? So now how could we want to be able to get aggressive, and we don't like, and let me emphasize the point of oh snap, we're about to run out of time here. So really quick, emphasis on the point of there are times where you need to play passive, but you don't want to always be passive. If you're always passive, you never accomplish anything. So you want to be able to get aggressive whenever possible. If you could be 100% aggressive the entirety of every game, that would be perfect. But you can't. There's times where it's a necessity to play passive. So if you're kind of actively putting yourself making yourself be passive, then that's not great, right? Which is coming into the shield management. So I actually lost track of time because I forgot that we started at a weird time. But so real quick, we're gonna run through the main points of the session, do a quick review, and then wrap up from there. We did Reinhardt and Ball. Reinhardt, ability usage, shield management is really the biggest thing, right? Just make sure you're not shielding against spam. Do shielding against all the important things. Overall ability usage on Reinhardt, though, was still really important, especially with that shield usage. So it's probably like a... Probably on Reinhardt was medium high-ish, maybe low end of medium high priority for you to work on, is what that is. Then ultimate usage of Reinhardt, I never saw you use an ultimate. Wrecking Ball. Abilities, just make sure you're slamming a lot more often. You can slam off of basically anything, so you just roll off and slam. You do D-ball, I always say, like, want to say D-mech. D-ball and start shooting. Typical combo, swing up, swing higher when you do swing, slam, shoot, get closer when you're shooting. Use adaptive shields when you're near more people. Overall, it was more like a medium on Ball. Medium priority for you to work on. And then ultimate usage, places slightly behind them. Make sure placing it like is on top of as many enemies as possible, right? And then that seemed to be about it from what I remember. I don't think there's anything else wrong with it. So overall, that was probably like a low priority. Moving on, mechanics. Reinhardt doesn't really have mechanics, but Ball, just make sure we're not sitting, I guess, even within Ball, I don't know if we talked a ton about just mechanical stuff. Don't try to shoot when you're just like all the way back here, right? It's just not gonna do a ton for you, right? Get closer, be more active with your abilities, and then add in shooting with those abilities. And then overall, that's not really a category. I wouldn't even use it as a category here. Positioning, make sure you're getting close to do things on Ball. Reinhardt, in general, make sure you're utilizing choke points and like holding them rather than not touching them at all, right? Or backing up off of them. In general, note that good positioning is usage of cover, bad positioning is the absence of cover. Yep, hold that corner. Besides that, on Ball, there's usually not as much positioning to talk about. Just, make sure that you are slamming off of stuff. Overall positioning was maybe more of like a medium or so, right? Somewhere around that. Then moving on to awareness/aggression. I always want to separate them because they're essentially two big categories, but really they're I guess, you know what? I don't know, man. It's always so hard because it's always very difficult. I always want to separate them because they are very massive categories in and of themselves, but they're so interdependent that I feel they need to go together. So awareness/aggression, right? Pay attention to what is your health bar, what's your HUD looking like, how many abilities, what's your shield health, right? Pay attention to what's going on around me, who's shooting at my shield, what's happening with the enemy team, where's my team at, are they behind me? Check before you engage, right? Pay attention to what's happening in kill feed, are we up or down? 1 to 2, advantage or disadvantage, 2 to 3, won or lost fight. Don't ult in won or lost fights. Get out if you can in a lost fight, or if you can't, let them kill you. Don't re-engage in already lost fights, right? Then additionally, just generally pay attention to everything around you, right? Then that also feeds into your aggression scaling. Think of your aggression as if it's a scale, right? 0% passive, 100% aggressive, 50% neutral. Adjust up with advantages and opportunities, adjust downwards with disadvantages and a lack of opportunity, or sorry, lack of resources. That mean to say that other one. So that one individually, I would probably say went to a medium-high priority. So to put that all in order, it's a little bit different on, I guess it's not too different on Reinhardt and Ball. So in general, probably say number 1 went to awareness/aggression. Then number 2 probably went to your ability usage. Number 3 went to your positioning. Number 4 went to, and then we didn't really, and then just a little bit of ultimate usage stuff on Ball, and then that was about it. The mechanics, not a thing, not a category here, and then we didn't see any Reinhardt shatters. So that is about it. Any questions?
No, I mean, I think that's great. That's a lot of things to think about, and I think the awareness and which kind of goes along with that progression.
Double kill.
All right.
To work on.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sounds good. So I